this rubbish out from his dustbin of yours?
That sort of thing. Okay.
Yes, Dave.
This was a sale at Mansford's shop on the 2nd of February 1903, and the prices on this list will be of great interest to people used to modern day prices. Men's ties, 2.5 pence, must be cleared. Men's caps, 3.5 pence. Men's cloth trousers, 2.11, 3.11, 4.11 and upwards. Boys' cloth knickers from a shilling and a halfpenny. Men's unlined serge jackets, 1 and 11 halfpenny, clearing line. Men's nailed boots from 4 and 6pence. Men's Sunday boots from 3 and 11. Girls' boots, 1 and 6pence.
Yeah, and then they went to live in Castle Square.
But its active days had finished by then.
It had finished
Yes.
by then.
So we won't dwell on that then.
No.
Can you mention Gale's shop? You would remember where that was.
Well, it's a paper shop.
Oh, that was Gale's. I never really knew.
Yes.
That was a
Yeah.
butcher shop.
No.
No.
That was Warwick's. I don't know. I think it was like a little grocery shop, but there never
Yes.
seemed to be much in it, if I
No,
remember
but
right.
Mrs. Warwick, who's recently died.
Watson's, the leather harness.
Oh, they were in with where the fish shop is now, in that lot, weren't they?
No. They
Oh.
were the room that Mrs. Derbyshire took into.
Oh, yes.
You speak as you feel free from your list, rather than me ask you about shops which in all honesty I don't know about.
Yes.
You might do it better that way.
Yeah.
No. Yes, could you tell us a bit about your shop, Mrs. Hesketh? You sold lots of other things in the shop, and then perhaps you could tell us about some of the other shops in the village.
Yes. Well, as far as I can remember, they used to say, if one ever talked about sales, my father always said there was plenty of queues here for their sale. There was a milliner in the shop, and they had 2 apprentices, as well as the other staff. And of course the post office was there. At the post office there was a telegraph boy in those days, and his furthest point for delivery of a telegram was to Short Ferry, beyond Cherrywillingham. And the shop used to deliver, of course, the horses and carts. And once, when I was going with my father, we went over a bridge just before Stainton by Langworth, and he said years ago, before the bridge time, one of the horses got it was flooded there, that they could not get over with deliveries on that. The shop, they had a lot of people coming in for buying the materials for when they had changed over at the farms, the assistants, the new maids and that. They came and bought the year's stock. And also, before the winter months, they were selling to the outlying farms, they were selling sacks of flour on that to last through the winter months. Often though, I think on a Saturday, they were open till 10 o'clock. And I think Mr. Gibson, somebody who lived on the green, or somebody else, used to be, always trying to come, like I think lots of shops they did, always trying to come at the last minute, even if it was only 10 to 10. But of course my father sold the shop in the 20s, I think the early 20s, and he sold it to Mr. Larder. Now one of the things Mr. Larder altered was he had a bakery there, and we could go over on Good Friday, and you could buy your hot cross buns hot from the bakery. And then, of course, in those days, a big thing in the village was pig killing. And you could book the time to take your pork pies in to have them cooked. Don't know whether you'd like to know a little bit about the pig killing. Your pig in those days you wanted was usually something about 26 stone. My mother would never have the pig killed when the moon was in the way, because they said the bacon would shrink in the saucepan. So that was one of the things you had to be careful of. They used to take it off and kill it, or sometimes, if they had the copper on in the yard, they would kill it here. There was always, at that time, some woman in the village who would come in to help with pig killing. You called it getting the pig out of the way. And the first day, you would send a plate of pig's fry to your friends. But there was one thing that you never had to do. You never had to wash the plate before you sent it back, because that wouldn't have done at all. We made brawn and hazelnut and pork pie and the sausages. The sausages were wonderful. There was nothing in to preserve them, and they used to hang them in the dairy, and after about 6 weeks they were as hard, and you boiled them, and they were marvellous for tea. Then of course you had the lard, and the first day of the pig killing you had scraps for tea. That was left from the lard that hadn't melted down. Then my father salted the ham and flitches, saltpetre, and the joints. And previously, it was a lovely thing for us children, the big block of salt. We carved it. We had to do it up right. You had great fun carving it. And then, of course, when they'd finished it, when the joints had taken the salt up sufficient, they were put in linen bags and hung in the granary. That was pig killing. Sometimes you had 2 a year, but towards the end 1. Now, would you like to get back to the village shops again? Well, past our shop there was Mr. Towers' cycle shop, and then you went on to, before you got to the institute, there was Watson's. That was leather and harnessed. And then where the where the opticians is, there was a sweet shop, you know, the front room of the house. Then you got to a grocery shop and a fish and chips. And you go down the street and you come to the house where Pat Hill used to live. And at one time her mother had a small shop in the front room.
That's the house on the corner by the church.
Yes, that's right. And it was just a little house, a little shop for selling little gifts. I know we went in to get something for Mother's Christmas present or something. And round the corner you had her father's shop, because he was a tailor. Then up the village you got to Gale's, that was groceries, and that's now the paper shop. The other side of the road, the shop, was a Mrs. Warwick, grocery, but as far as I can remember, very little in it. Perhaps it was because as a child you weren't interested. And then the other shop opposite the chapel, and I've no idea who had that one. We also had another small shop in Cross Street, where Mrs. Kerrison lives now, Mrs. Skepper. It seemed that a lot of them like to have their front room just a little bit to sell. I think that's all. And of course the butcher's shops, one where it is now, and the one in the house, the low part of the house as you turn down into the crescent opposite the library.
So you're well supplied with shops.
Yes, we must have been.
And of course there were craftsmen in the village, blacksmiths, wheelwrights,
Yes.
people associated with farming trades.
The blacksmith, I remember, was here, Mr Jubb, where Nestor's hairdresser is. There was a blacksmith there. It was a kind of zinc place, I think.
And there was a blacksmith shop down at the bottom of the crescent, just before where the village hall is now.
No,
No.
I can't tell you. I presume Mr Parker at the end of Chapel Lane was the wheelwright
Yes.
on that.
And there was a timber yard there. I
Was
gather,
there?
where the Methodist wooden hut Sunday school.
Oh yes.
There was a timber yard
Oh,
That
what's
was
that?
where I lived.
where Jeff Clark lived.
Did you?
Yes, that was a timber yard during the First World War.
Now, Mrs Hesketh, let's come to another phase of your life. You had a nursery school.
Oh yes.
You must have memories of the school and the children.
Oh yes, I did it for about 22 or 23 years.
And now you see your former pupils grown up and having families.
Oh yes, it's most interesting. Sometimes when people speak to you, you know, you say hello and that, and then you think afterwards, who was that? But it was a marvellous thing because it did get me into, having been away so long, it did get me back into village life and meeting people. And I enjoyed every minute of it.
You were also a district councillor, member of the Welton Rural District Council.
Yes.
Do you have any memories of particular things that happened there, or council life as a councillor?
Such as Dick Smith being appointed the surveyor.
And of course I was on the parish council.
Yes.
That was, I think, oh yes, I tell you, the one memory, when I first went on to the district council, I think it was a district council, that the vicar had told me to, got me to put up. And I knocked him off the first time I went on.
So he did the wrong thing.
So, but for me, it was a very good thing because I really was interested in it. I found it most interesting.
And while you were a councillor, a lot of the developments in Nettleham took place.
Yes, and they put that co-op up opposite Beck House, which I wasn't very happy about, but they told me it was only because I lived at Beck House I didn't like it.
All of these developments, of course, have transformed Nettleham from a village of perhaps 1,000 people into almost a small town.
Yes.
How do you think that the people who lived in the village in those days regarded these developments, or regard them now?
They don't want the village to get too big. We don't like it being called a small town because it makes us think we lose in our individuality. Because we don't want, I know that you have to a certain extent move with the times, but we don't want to lose our individuality as a village.
I think it can be said that a lot of the people who have come to live in the village have enriched the life of the village. And of course, these developments have brought other assets, such as the library and the health centre and various things like that.
Yes, that is quite true. We've been very fortunate, and we hope that our councillors will still look after us and not let us get too big to get lost in that, because really, you know, there's more, the centre of the village, living here, in the best part I am, living in the centre of the village still.
So now at this stage, do you think that Nettleham is a good and a nice place to live in?
Oh yes, and it's always been a friendly place.
And caring?
Yes, because people have always been friendly in Nettleham.
What of the future? More developments planned?
No, we are big enough as it is. We've got we've even now got an optician, so that we've got everything really that we need, because bus fares are going up so the whole time, but we have so many things in the village that I think we're quite a good mixture in the village, and we don't need any more.
So on that happy note, we'd just like to stop the clock.
That is right. Very good indeed.
Thank you very much, Mrs Hesketh.
Well, thank you. You know, my brother
It's got to be all
That's
put
right.
together.
Yeah,
It's in bits and pieces.
Yes, that's right.
You see,
One
when
thing-
we first got
one
on a
thing I
tape, the
didn't
tape
tell
ran
you
out.
was
Oh,
So we had to put another
the
tape
red
in,
Yeah,
and those one
right.
putting
we used to
together.
have
Yes.
gaslighting.
yes.
And then when we
Yes.
first
They
started
waited,
this, the
they,
first thing we could get
had to
on was the
wind
Old
up
People's
the
Street
Yes.
in March
Yes.
at the Four Seasons.
Yes.
Well, the next thing we did, we went round the
That's
village and
right.
did all the village buildings.
You like
Yeah.
some
That's
And then we
right.
came back
Yes.
as people again.
Well, when we
Yeah.
first
Jimmy
came to the
Sawyer,
White Hart in
And
yeah.
now
1938,
Kathy.
Yeah.
there was gaslighting.
But what we should really do
Yes.
is to
Nineteen
do the
1938.
people
You know, you-
first
So often, you see,
And
I
the
went
Four
away in
Seasons Street.
28.
and have the
Yes.
village separately
Mm.
instead of having them all
1928.
mixed up.
I
People in
never
buildings,
really
people in
lived
buildings.
until after my
You
mother
see, we're
died
just
in
jumping.
1950,
Yeah.
and
It's just as
come
it's
back
happened.
for
Well, yes.
days.
Well,
Thank
thank
you
you,
very much.
thank you very much.
You came out very well.
He's at it again.
Right,
We can go now.
it's been very nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I've enjoyed it very much indeed. Yeah.
You've been archived.
Oh, yeah. I nearly feel like it sometimes. Bye-bye.
Today is Saturday the 3rd of March 1990 and we're in the household of Mr Joe Knott and his wife Maud. We're going to talk to them about their life and where they've lived in general terms. We'll start off by asking Joe, when were you born and where?
25th of August 1915 at Martin, near Timberland, Lincoln.
Where did you go to school?
Martin,
At Martin.
yes.
And where did you first go to work?
Blackney Fen,
Did you? Doing
labour on the farm.
on a farm?
Mm.
Now I know that you joined the army soon after that. When in fact did you join?
Oh, I joined the army not until 1934. But I was at Nettleham then,
Oh, you come to Nettleham
Oh,
by
yes.
the time you
Oh,
joined.
yes.
You came to Nettleham when then?
in 1930.
When you were about what?
When I was 16.
When you were 16. And your father
1931.
came to work
For Mr Bowser at Nettleham Hall.
at Nettleham Hall.
Yeah.
And you lived up there then?
I did.
In one of the cottages alongside the farm
Yeah,
when you were 16.
yeah.
So you'd finished school. You must have worked somewhere in Nettleham.
No, I didn't work anywhere. I came from Brough-on-Bain to Nettleham in 1931 and went with my father to Nettleham Hall to look after some horses for a 12-month, that's all.
Yeah.
From there we went to Kit Scorers on Lodge Lane.
Yes.
I worked for Kit then for a further 12-month, or nearly a 12-month, and joined the army on the 6th of June 1934.
And you signed on for a matter of 3
3 years, and
Yeah.
9 on the reserve, yes.
And 9 on the reserve.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you did your local training, but I know before very long you went out to Palestine.
Oh yes, I did indeed. I did my local training at Aldershot, with the RASC. They taught me to drive. They taught me the mechanisms of the internal combustion engine and its all its functions. The course lasted 32 weeks.
Did you?
And it was from there, after being posted to Woolwich, that I was called upon to join a party that was made up of 19 company RASC to go to Palestine, or rather to go to Egypt in the first place,
Yeah.
because of the then threatened trouble in Abyssinia.
What year did you go abroad then?
1935.
35, as soon as that.
Yeah.
You hadn't met your wife by then?
Yes, I met my wife. Well, she was a schoolgirl, of course,
Yes.
when I first came here.
Yeah.
But
While you were in
let
the
me see,
forces,
yes.
you were writing.
Oh, yes, I had met her. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
I had.
Yeah.
Yes, she was in service at Sudbrook with my sister.
Because you were born in Nettleham, I think.
Yes, I was born in Nettleham.
Of Mrs Parker, you were.
Yes.
Parker was your single name.
Yes, yes.
What was your mother's name?
My mother's name before she was married was Cargill.
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 Oh,
yes.
that's not
Yes.
not a Nettleham name.
No, it's not a Nettleham name at all.
No.
She was born at Mereham Fen.
Was she?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And she came to Nettleham.
She came to Nettleham as a nanny to the Mansford's children.
Did she?
Yes.
Roughly.
Oh, I can't tell
No,
you what year
fair
it
enough.
is,
No. But you lived where?
We lived in what was known then as Walnut Farm.
Walnut Farm.
Walnut Farm, it is now 11 North Street.
Where David Birkin lives.
Oh, where Bob Parker lived.
Where Bob Parker lived.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So what relation was Bob Parker?
He was my cousin.
He was your cousin?
Yes, his
I
father
see.
and my father were brothers.
Yes. Ah, I
And
see.
they were all farmers at one time
Yes.
until Uncle went
Yes.
as a wheelwright and
Yeah.
joiner.
Oh, that's interesting. I know while you were out in Palestine, Joe, you got an award. Would you like to tell us a bit about that?
Not really, but it was one of those things. It was, let me see, 10th of August 1935. Well, it was 35, 36 probably. 36. And we was on a detachment from Jerusalem to Nablus in Palestine, and the detachment was with the Seaforth Islanders, of which we had to transport, me being in the Service Corps, we had to transport the Seaforth Islanders in those days wherever they wanted to go. And a riot broke out in the village of Nablus, of which the Seaforth was called out, and we had to take them. And of course, as you'll probably appreciate, that darkness falls within about 5 minutes. And we had taken them out in our lorries, of course, and it had fallen dark, and we was on our way back to our billets when I ran over a road mine, which wasn't very pleasant, of course, but none more for that. It was one of those things that, knowing that the two people in the front with me was seriously wounded, I had to get the lorry back onto the road because it had dropped somebody about 6 to 8 feet off the roadside, and took them down to the medical orderly that was attached with us in Nablus. And it was through that episode, of course, that I was awarded the medal.
You came out of the services at the end of your 3 years. What work did you do? Can you remember?
Oh, I went lorry driving, Jeff, for first of all Foster's at Langworth, and then Atkins of Langworth, and from there, after I'd got the licences that I was after, such as heavy goods and articulated in those days, I applied for a job at the RAF station Waddington as a civilian driver, which I took and stayed there until I was called back in the services again.
Well, when did you sell vacuum cleaners?
Oh heck.
Oh, was it after the war?
No, Jeff, I think it was slightly before.
Was it?
If I remember
Ah.
right.
But when were you called up again?
I was called up again on the 28th of August 39,
Under the reserve system?
under the reserve, the Z
Yeah.
reserve, yes. Went
And,
down to Aldershot on the 29th.
Before war was actually declared?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But to move on a little bit, I know that you went through the Dunkirk series,
Oh yes.
and I know that it's 50 years this year since Dunkirk, and that you're going to a reunion
That's right,
in
Jeff,
the latter
yes.
part of May
That's right,
in a couple of months' time.
exactly.
Yeah. You're looking forward to that?
Oh yes, we are, yes.
Yes, because you belong to the Dunkirk Veterans
I do indeed.
Association in Lincoln.
Yep.
Yeah. And there's a man walking from Lincoln to
There is,
Dunkirk
yes.
in connection with that, isn't there?
Yep,
Yeah. But going back a little bit, you got married in 1940,
I did.
because you've just mentioned your golden wedding anniversary
Exactly.
in September.
Yep.
And where did you live in the first place? In the village? Maud, you can...
Oh, well, when I was married, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, yes.
Well, at first we didn't have a home
No.
because you couldn't get one, but I lived in what was then known as East Street.
East Street?
Yes, but it isn't East Street now, it's the Crescent.
Oh, is it? Oh.
It is, that's
You know
right,
where the
isn't
big
it?
house, new big house was built on the corner?
Yes.
There.
In the cottages.
There was a row
Yeah,
of
there was a
Yes,
row of called
there
four
was, that's
cottages,
right.
yes.
Yes.
We lived in the end
Yeah.
one.
My cousin lived in one after the war. There.
Yes, yes, she did. That's right.
But, and you were demobbed from the war in 1946.
December 45.
Oh, December 45. You got out quite early with being an early reservist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how...
An age, of course.
Yes, yeah. And what did you do in Nettleham then? You can't remember.
You went to work for the RAF.
I went back to the RAF to work
Did you?
there. Oh yes, yes.
Because I got to know you about that time, I suppose.
Yes, you did indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we had a little business together at one time
That's
after
right.
the war.
Yeah, yeah.
Of spraying cars. we
Did they
sprayed
spray
yours,
yours?
Dick, did
I
we?
did, and I live in the prefabs.
Good
Oh,
Lord.
yes.
I didn't know that. Better be careful. That's
all
not
going
that
out.
arrested.
Good job of it.
But I suppose we did that for 4 or 5 years, did we? Or
I
more?
should think we did, Jeff. Yeah.
I mean, there was a strong market for it.
There was. Yeah.
Compared to what we used to do my father's car
Yeah.
as a specimen car
That's
for
right.
other people to look at.
That's
They
right.
didn't realise it was getting a spray probably every fortnight. we didn't realise, Dick, we'd done yours. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you played football for Nettleham
Yes, I did.
after the war with the rest of us.
Yeah.
We have a few happy memories
Oh yes.
of that. But what about your other leisure activities during that time? I know by then you'd got a family going. You'd a family of what?
Well, we were two by the end of the war.
Yeah.
When you was
Two
born.
by the end of the war?
Yes.
Year after
Yes.
you were married, if you remember.
Yes.
49, weren't you?
And then you'd a son?
Yes. Well, see, David was born 40.
He was 9 months old when you came
Yes, he
out
was,
of the
yeah.
forces.
Was he?
Yes.
Hmm.
He was
Yeah.
born in February 45,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I came out in December 45.
45. Yeah. And where have they gone now?
Ah, well, Jean, of course, is in. My eldest daughter's in Toronto, in Canada.
Yes.
Been there since 1967. And David has his own house in Thorpe Hesley near Rotherham. He's a traveller. I forget what they call the bloke's name now. He used to deal with General Foods, but he's just changed his shop.
Yeah.
And that's where he lives now. Of course, when he first got married, he went into the Navy, got married in the Navy rather, and came out and took a guest house in Blackpool, and further to that he took a hotel on the front in Blackpool, and they didn't seem to hit it off, you know, too well between them, and they packed the hotel business up, and he, of course, he had to look for a decent steady job after that. He has since, of course, been divorced, but he's still with us.
Yes. And what about Wendy?
Oh, Wendy's great. She's in Chesterfield.
She's in Chesterfield. And they've got their own families?
Yes, they've
yes,
got two
they've
each.
got two.
Yes. Ah. Yeah. How long have you lived in this house, Joe?
Since 1952.
52?
Yeah.
Yeah. In the same house?
Yes.
38 years.
Yeah.
38 years.
I got the
thought you'd
key
been
on
in
the
it a fair
2nd of
time.
June 1952.
Did you?
And we got to know Dean and Pastor 11 plus the next day.
Oh.
Came in when they were built.
Yes,
Yes.
we came in when it was new, yes.
I found a photograph the other night of the grass field before it was a house.
Oh,
on
did
the
you?
street. Yes.
Oh,
Of the, taken from the corner of the,
Yeah.
from the Deepdale Lane
Oh,
corner.
yes.
Yeah.
Looking at the field as it was a
Yeah.
grass field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, there used to be a pond in this corner. I can remember it because we used to play in it as children.
Who have been your favourite characters in the village over the years? Can you remember a few? I mean, we've
well,
done a tape of a Jimmy Sawyer.
Let me put it this way, Jeff. I never had time to have any favourite characters because of my army life, and then being away driving for the RAF, which took me away several nights a week sometimes, and of course I was wrapped up in my family, as you well know. But I think one of my favourite characters in the village was your father, who I used to help. I used to help him with his posting round.
Yeah.
And I used to go about with him, and then of course you came along and we became friends and been friends ever since. But as for anybody, you know, sort of favourites, no.
Oh, fair enough.
I don't think I have any favourites.
What do you do now you're retired?
What do I do? Very little.
Well, not since he had his heart
Well, I had a
attack.
heart attack, as you know,
Well,
just
yes.
12 months ago.
So much as he'd like to do.
Well, he's got two heart defects, you see, with the heart attack, and he's got leaky valves.
Of course,
as well.
the family, all told, keep both eyes on me, so I'm limited to what really I can do. It's not what I would like to do,
No.
but it's what they would let me do.
You worked at the post office for a long time.
21 years, yes.
21 years.
Yes,
Yeah. And that was travelling to Lincoln each day.
it was, yes.
And you travelled in by...
Oh, cycle for a start.
I thought
Jeff.
you did.
Yes,
That's what I was
cycle for
on
a
with.
start.
Yes.
And then we bought a little car.
Yes.
And from then I've betted myself with
Yes.
cars, as you know.
Yes. But that was doing postal rounds.
For a start, yes,
In
Jeff it
Lincoln.
was, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I took,
But
I
you
went
were
driving.
driving afterwards, yes.
It's all a matter of time and promotion and what have you. And from there, from my driving, I went as a postman higher grade, which, in general terms, is a man who looks after the registered items and deals with that sort of the sort of post office work. And eventually, of course, finished up as a supervisor. And I had to retire due to the national economic crisis in 1976.
Oh, you retired in 76, did you?
Yes, from the post office,
I
yes.
didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You've enjoyed living in Nettleham?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I have.
There's been some changes over the years.
Oh,
What are the big ones from your point of view,
the
more?
big yours.
Oh, I don't know.
Ah.
Well, I suppose the only thing I can really say is once upon a time I knew everybody that lived in the village, and I should think I know
A third now.
less than that,
Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go in the shop and you knew everybody you met. But you can go in the shop now and you don't know a soul.
You can remember when Larders took over from Mansford's?
Oh
can you?
yes,
Yeah.
well I can remember Larders.
Ah,
But
I wondered if you could remember.
I don't know, I
The
don't...
changeover was about 1920.
Well, I was only born in 1920, so I can't remember.
Oh, the changeover was about 1920-21.
Yes,
But
I can remember Larders.
we can all remember Larders, of
Yes,
course.
that's right.
The changeover from Larders to the co-op was about 1947. Yes, it was.
It must
Yeah.
be, yes.
But
That was a bad winter, wasn't it?
that's right. What about the bakehouse at the back, Joe? Can you remember anything about that in particular? I mean, there was a bakehouse, there was a bowls green, there was a tennis court.
No, Jeff, I was never, how shall I put it?
Never really involved.
No,
If you want to know
wasn't.
about
no.
that, Jeff, you want to ask Snowy Joe.
Oh, we're coming to
And
it.
also, my brother's wife, Enid, worked there as a girl.
Did she?
Yes, she did.
Ah,
Yes.
that's interesting. Yeah. Because it was a real landmark in the old days.
Oh,
So
yes.
that was the co-op,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
But there used to be a tennis court as well as the first bowling green.
I can't remember
After
the
the-
bowling
after
green, but I
the,
can remember the tennis court.
Bakehouse was cleared away.
Oh,
Yeah, it became a private garden,
Yeah,
and that was
yeah.
the first bowling green. And there was a tennis court there as well,
I mean, there used to be a rifle range in the institute.
in the
didn't
institute.
there? Or at the back of the institute.
Well, you would use the institute as a form of recreation over the years. There's a library there as
Yes, there,
well, to a
there,
degree.
there was. It was there to be used, but I can't remember of ever, only on the odd occasion, that I went in the institute.
Yeah, but you went in with Maud to the dances. and
No, I
things like-
didn't.
He
because I
wouldn't
never-
go with
never
me. I
danced.
used to go dancing
No.
until I met him, and well, till we really got
Yes.
going
Yeah,
together.
I mean,
Whisk drive and dance.
let's face
but
it,
you
Jeff.
used to go
Oh yes, I did.
to the functions there.
Oh,
That was the
yes,
only
and to the
place
library.
where the functions were
Yeah.
held in the
Yeah.
village in those days.
And you used to go to the doctor there too. He had a room upstairs.
He did,
Old
that's
Dr.
right.
Dean. Yes, he used
Yes,
to come.
I'm told that he had a
Yes,
function
he used to come on a
there.
horse,
Yes,
tied up outside.
did he? You can remember
I
that?
can just remember it.
Yes.
I can only ever remember going
That
once.
was, of course,
but I
Dr.
can just
Dean
remember.
came from Dunholm.
No, he came from Scotland.
Oh, he lived in Scotland in
This
those
one
days,
lived in
did-
Scotland.
Did he?
Yes.
Yes, I can remember him.
The old Dr. Dean lived in Scotland. The son went to live at Dunholm.
Well, that was it, was it? Hmm. Yes, that's interesting, that thing.
He actually came riding on horseback, did he?
Yeah.
Not in a trap.
No, he
No,
used to come on his
horseback.
horse. Well, when he first came, he maybe got a trap later, but I can just remember him coming on a horse. As I say, I can only ever remember going once. I mean, you had to be really ill to go to the doctor because you had to pay.
You had to pay. I think it was 7 and 6pence a visit was the official price.
That was a lot of money.
But
It
if
was
you
in them days, wasn't it?
if you belonged to the association, the nurse would visit you for a penny a week. I think that was the position. This was when Nurse Heath first came to Nettleham. She couldn't visit unless people were paying the penny a week officially.
It was Thompson even.
Was it Thompson?
Yes.
Well,
And you
Those
used to
getting
pay,
hard,
and you
Jeff.
used to
Yeah.
pay 6pence a week so that you could go into a hospital.
yes,
In a hospital association.
yeah. Those are the times of a long more than 50 years ago. We're going back now. We're
Yes,
going
it
back
is more
60s and 70s.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. We're going
Well,
really back to
60s
the early
when I
20s.
joined, yes, yes.
Um,
But I paid the hospital money right from going out to work.
Did you? Hmm. And you first went to work at Scorers, I think, didn't you?
No, not to start with.
Oh, didn't you?
No, I went as a day girl at Vicar's Court in Lincoln to the
Did you?
Reverend Hall.
Oh, the Reverend Hall.
Yes, and then
Lord.
Mrs Hall died,
Yes.
and he went away to live, so of course I had to leave.
Hmm.
And from then I went to Sudbrook, and I stayed there until I got married.
Did you? To Sudbrook.
To Sudbrook, the Scorers at Sudbrook.
Oh, the Scorers
The
at
old,
Sudbrook.
old Mrs Scorer.
Ah, I
yes.
see.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Kit Scorer.
No, I
at
never
Lodge
worked for
Lane.
them. Joe
No, it
worked
was the
for them.
Scorers at Sudbrook.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I went
And
as
you were
house.
there until you were married?
Yes, I went as house parlour maid, and then I took the job over as cook
Did you?
because I used to do half the cooking when I was out and half. I always enjoyed cooking.
Yeah.
You married a good cook, Joe.
Yes, I did indeed. Oh yes.
Yeah.
We've had some good meals between us and all.
Still do.
Oh yes, yes, yes. We'll cook meal every day.
Watching on television. Do you watch the soaps or
Very, very few, Jeff.
the dramas?
I watch all nature programmes, if I'm
Yes.
and all sports programmes.
Yes.
Apart from that, they could take it away from me.
Well, we're all in about the same boat. There's no doubt about that. I read a book when the soaps are on.
You read the newspaper.
But I think it's an essential part of life.
Oh, it
Television.
is now, yes. of
I don't know
course.
what we should do without it. But you've never belonged to the church or chapels particularly,
I used to attend chapel, Jeff,
did you?
as a Methodist when I first came to the village.
Oh, the Methodist chapel in Chapel Lane?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Hmm.
But of course, when I went away, and I was away for 3 years practically in the army, you see,
Yes.
18 to 21, and things have changed dramatically in those 3 years. That church and chapel was sort of out of favour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we used to go to church.
Yes, we
when
did.
were courting.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we used to
Yeah.
go on Sunday night.
Yeah. You see that you don't get the old village functions these days in Nettleham like you used to do.
Oh,
I'm
no.
thinking of the rabbit pie suppers, the sick and dividing clubs,
Yes, yes,
the pig clubs.
yes. Yeah.
What are your memories of those
Oh,
sort of things?
well, yes,
We used
well,
to keep a pig, didn't we? We
yeah.
belonged to the pig
we
club.
used to belong
Did you?
to the big
Yes,
clubs,
Yes.
It was organised and I used to be in it from the plough.
Charlie Wells was the secretary.
He
That's
was,
right,
he was,
Yes.
yeah.
And what was the purpose of the pig clubs?
Well, I think, if I remember right, that the main object of the pig club was if anyone had owned a pig or pigs and anything went wrong with them, there was always a few shillings on one side in the pig club to pay for vets.
It was a compensation.
It was,
Yes.
yes.
And if they lost a pig, I think they got a
You-
grant from
They
the
did.
pig
That's
club.
right,
They
you
did,
did,
yes.
yes.
It was a kind of insurance.
Yes,
Yes.
it was,
More or
yes.
less,
yes.
yes.
It was more or less on the
But the sick
same
and
lines as
dividing
sick and dividing
clubs.
club, Jeff.
The sick and dividing clubs, you belonged those.
Oh yes, I did, yes.
And they performed much the same thing,
Yes,
but
yeah.
with human beings rather
That's
than...
right, yes.
It was a weekly payment,
That's right, it
or a
was.
monthly payment.
Yeah. No, we used to pay weekly.
You used to pay weekly, yeah.
Yep.
And then you shared out at the end of each year.
That's right, yes.
And that was when the rabbit pie supper was very
That's it,
often put
yeah.
on.
Yeah,
I know my mother used to put them on
she did.
in the White Hart,
Yeah.
in the end room. These were the days before the NHS really got underway.
Oh yes.
The NHS
Yes.
knocked off the sick and dividing
Yeah, they
clubs
did, yeah.
because of the free availability of treatment.
That's right.
But they were a part of life, very much so, that I think,
Oh yes, if you
and they engendered a lot of community spirit.
yeah. I mean, if you was in conversation with anyone, the question used to come up invariably that, you know, are you in the sick dividing club, or
Yeah,
how long have you been in the pig club?
Yeah.
Things like that.
yeah.
Oh yes, it was general conversation.
You said you pigs, Maud, so you used to be involved in the pig killing routine.
Oh yes, yes.
Well, tell us about that then.
Well, when I had them myself, actually, they were taken away, but I can remember as a child,
Yeah,
someone coming to kill a pig and they used to stand it up on a tripod and bleed it, and then it was put in a, I don't know what you call it, a long rack thing,
A
and
top.
it was scalded and scraped,
Yeah.
and
It was like a cratch.
yes, and then we had all the trouble of salting the meats and leaving them in salt for so long and then hanging them up, and you used to make your brawn and pork pies and sausages and penny ducks, I think they used to call them, hazelett sort of things. Yes, and your lard, of course, which was your main thing.
can you remember if you gave a neighbour...
Oh, you always gave so many pig's fries away, and it was always on a big dinner plate, and there was a little bit of everything put on, and it was covered with a bit of the pig's skirt. You didn't used
Skirt,
to call
yeah.
it, yes. Apron, not
That's
skirt,
right.
apron.
And what had the neighbour never to do?
They don't pay you for it.
No, they didn't
They
pay
didn't
you.
say thank you.
No. Can you remember the other thing that they
No,
never
I
did?
don't, no.
They never washed the plate.
Yeah, that's right, Jeff.
Oh yes, I remember now. Yes, yes. No, you always sent the plate back, don't you?
That's right.
It was bad luck if they washed the
Yeah.
plate.
Yeah. You're laughing about something in your head.
No, I was just laughing about dirty plate business.
Oh, the dirty plate
Yeah.
business. Yeah. No, I think that you've enjoyed life like the rest of us in Nettleham.
I've had a good life, Jeff.
Yes,
I have.
yes.
Married and
Unhappy.
happy, yes.
I'm sure that's the way that we would all have wanted it. And looking back over the years, our lives have been fairly close together all that time. I don't think either of us would have wanted other lives.
No, I don't think so.
No.
No.
There are many people who have lived more exciting lives, I've no doubt about that, fly into this.
Oh,
This
yes.
country
Yes,
and
I'm
that
sure they
country.
have.
But it's never amused me and it's never amused you.
No.
No, we
You-
never went
your
to-
holidays have been spent basically in England.
Well, they have.
Oh no, we've had
No,
10
well,
in Canada.
until
With my
recently.
daughter. That's
Until
right.
you'd a family connection.
That's
right.
right.
Yes.
Yes.
right.
Yes, but you have been across to Canada several times.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
But, yes, I mean, experience-wise, I think one of the best was having run up to Dundee on petrol coupons. Well, it's all right sitting laughing about it,
1948.
but when you've only got a limited amount of petrol, you
Was it a Morris 10, wasn't it?
10.6, yeah.
10C.
Yeah.
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 Go on, tell them the rest of it then. Why did you go to Dundee?
Oh, well, Jeff.
We took Jeff to get married.
I took Jeff and his mother from the White Hart to get married in Dundee. And
We're the only ones from his side of the family.
Oh,
Well, we
yeah.
weren't family, but we're the only ones there, weren't we, Jeff?
Yes.
So just your mother and...
November the 6th, 1948.
That's
Yeah.
right.
That
Yes.
was the date and the
Yes.
time. And that was the first time you'd ever been up there. I
it
think.
was, yes,
Yes.
it was. Yeah.
And I can remember that old, we say it was a Morris 10. And there were 4 of us in it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
When you think we took an awful chance in setting out with petrol coupons.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
Um,
And to bring some coupons home.
I believe, well, I never knew about that
Yes, I did.
because I didn't come home with
No,
No,
you.
you didn't,
But
no.
I brought some petrol coupons home.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the taxi service must have suffered a bit with the petrol coupons. Because father, of course, father ran the taxi service then and used to get an allowance of petrol for the taxi service.
Yeah, but you see, the man who I worked with, who loaned us the car,
That's right.
also supplied us with the coupons.
Did he really?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yes, because he was limited, of course.
yes.
And
Yeah.
he said, well, that's the only coupons I can spare you. You'll have to, well, we'll try to work it out,
Yes.
like on the average that he knew the car was capable of doing.
Yes.
And,
But the car went there without fault and came back
oh,
without
yes,
fault,
it did
didn't
indeed,
it?
yes.
Yes,
The only
and yet it
thing-
was by no means a new car.
Not by a long way,
It was a
was.
pre-war car, I think, wasn't it?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
It was a good old car, that was.
yeah. Well, anything you want to come to,
I
Dick?
thought you might mention Joe's prowess as a gardener.
Well, by now you come in.
No, you know, Jeff.
Well, no, Joe's been top of the league in chrysanthemums for a number of years. It's a good point you've mentioned. Mention of a village activity of the Gardeners Association, which we formed way back many years ago,
Oh, yes, indeed.
in one form or another. But you won the Chrysanthemum Championship for a number of years, haven't
Yeah,
you?
3 years in succession.
3 years
Oh,
in succession.
didn't you?
Yeah, well,
4.
I won it 4, but the 3 that I got,
Was in succession.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. You're still growing them.
Oh, yes,
Yes,
yeah.
as well as a few veg and things
Yes,
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The family come and do the rough digging, he only does the planting.
Well,
I'm
yes.
afraid I have to go out and help him do that too now.
Yes.
Well, my daughter from Canada planted the chrysanthemums last year.
Did you really?
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, that's a good point you made, Dick. I've forgotten that. Yeah.
yeah, and that's why, I mean, when I had a heart attack, I had to put half my garden down on lawn, you see.
Yes. Yeah.
I was sorry to do it, but there you are, it had to be done.
But there's work even there mowing lawns, isn't there?
Oh yes,
Oh,
yes, yes.
That's the cover I got for the heaviest onion this year.
Oh, is it?
Aye.
And just looking at all the shields I got for shooting.
Yeah. At the top. Yeah. Well, that's been a most enjoyable little session. I suppose we better stop there. It's 3/4 of an hour gone.
Not one for really showing them.
Well, you got upset before it didn't matter.
No.
That's the big one on the left.
Yes.
That's the
And the
MN.
Palestine campaign one.
That's the
I think.
Dunkirk one.
Dunkirk, yeah.
It's a very...
He never wore them until he became a Dunkirk veteran.
No.
And joined the association.
That's right. And that's an essential part of it then.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Today is the 10th of March 1990 and we're in the house of Mr. Norman Simpson Jubb and his wife Ada, whose maiden name was Betts. I'm going to ask him a few questions to try to see where he's been and what he's done over the years. And I'll start off by saying, Norman, when were you born?
1909, September the 3rd.
1909.
Yes.
And Mrs. Jubb, can I be rude?
1913,
Yes.
1913.
February.
February.
Yeah.
You can't even remember the date already, you see.
I don't want me to.
Are you born in Nettleham?
Bred and born in Nettleham.
Which house in Nettleham? Can
Just,
you
just round the corner.
Oh, just round the corner here.
At number 7.
Number 7.
Yes, where
Oh.
Gordon lives now on his own.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you were born in Nettleham, Mrs.
Yes,
On Beckside.
yes, where we was up there.
You know Duck Alley?
Yes.
Well,
I
her
know
Grandad
that.
used to live in the first house.
Oh, did he?
And they used to live in the next first one up the passage there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
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 Duck Alley, what a name for a street.
Well, that's what they used to call
I
it.
know they did.
All
And
the
Hare
ducks-
Lane as well, that was another name for
All
it.
Duck Alley, well, all Proctor's ducks used to go down
Yes.
that alley. They used to have about 20 or 30 ducks.
Did they?
Do you remember Reg Proctor, the against
I
Galen's
do,
shop?
yes.
In
Yeah.
that there chair.
Well, I can't remember the chair, but I can remember Mr. Proctor living there.
Yeah.
Well, didn't Ernie Goodyear used to keep ducks on there as
Oh,
well?
up the path,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, Goodger used to live in the big house next door to them.
Did
I
he?
did.
On, you know, the big house, double fronted
Yes.
house on Beckside.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
They
Yes.
lived in the White Hart, you know, when
Oh, I
they
know
first,
they did.
when they
Because
first
Phil
came.
and
to
Ernest, well, Phil and
Gudger, Master Gudger.
the daughter and
Phil.
the son were born in the
In
White
the
House.
house.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you go to school at Nettleham, Norman?
Yes.
Now, why are you laughing?
That's where I started and finished up.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
What age were you when you finished school?
I went errand boy at the Mansfords, 13-year-old, and I had to go back to school again because I got 2 or 3 attendances short.
Oh,
So I had to go back until I was 14.
I see.
Then I went back as errand boy
At Mansford.
at Mansfords for
Yes.
about 6 weeks, and then Larders came and took it over.
Mm.
And I went back to that. I was still Larders errand boy
Yes.
then. There was George Baker, Robin Baker. Do you remember him?
Yes.
He used to be the first errand boy, and I was the understudy.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. And then of course I was
When
errand boy.
when you say errand boy, what did you do? Did you take stuff out to houses?
Used to take the groceries out
Deliveries?
with handcart.
Yes.
And then they had horse and cart, and
Yes.
horse and dray. And old Mr. Farrer, who lived in where Tom Bowes lives now,
Yes.
he used to be the horseman officially, going round Fiskett and Reefham, and then he would go round Scotland and Sudbrook another day,
Really?
getting orders and going
Yes.
down to as far as Stainton.
Did he?
Yeah.
And delivering some as well as taking orders?
That's right, yeah.
Yes.
Deliver an order and bring
Yes.
one back again.
Yes.
In those days.
Can you remember the year that Mansford's sold out to Larders?
47.
No, that was when the Now, when Mansford sold out,
Oh, I can't remember.
about
no.
1920, 21, I think it
Well, I
was.
couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Let's see, 47 was when Mrs Larder sold
That's
it
when
to the
Mrs.
co-op.
Yes, that was 47.
Because none of us knew anything about it. We all
Did
wanted,
you really?
we wanted more money, do you see?
Yeah.
I'd come out the services
Yes.
in the, in the October? I can't just remember.
Yes.
And we wanted, because she was only paying us £3.50, like £3.10 a week.
Was she?
Well, the stores at Lincoln was getting just on £5 a week.
Hmm.
And then this Mr McNabbs, the head of the
Yes.
stores at Lincoln in those days,
That's right.
he came over to Nettleham and called us all into the big part of the front of the shop. There was 18 of us.
Were they?
And he told us that the stores was taking it over,
Hmm.
and had anybody got any questions to ask? And nobody said anything. And I said, excuse me, sir. He says, what benefit am I going to be? Because I says, you know the circumstances why we've all put our notices in. He says, you'll be 31 shillings a week better off. He says, you're the driver, aren't you? I
Yes.
says, yes, sir. Well, he says, you'll be 31 shillings a week better off
Did he really?
with the co-op.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But mind you, we still used to work the hours,
Yes.
but we didn't put in for the overtime.
No. No.
We used to start in the morning and finish about 7 o'clock at night in them days.
He used to come.
Well, when it was
12 o'clock,
larders, do you remember the field that where the scout hut is now, when it was 5-acre grassland?
Yes, I can just about remember that.
Well, that's where we used to keep the old horse,
Is it?
and we used to have a stable in the stable yard, because they'd knock the others down at the back of the shop
Yes.
for a bakehouse.
Yes.
And I used to go just on 7 o'clock. Robin Baker used to go as well, and we used to clean the old horse out, feed it, then go across to the shop and sweep it out,
Hmm.
and come home for your breakfast 7:30, and go back again for 8 o'clock, then fetch the horse on the cart or the dray, whatever you was going to go out on, and start loading it up for the day.
Really?
Else
You started at that time in the morning?
yes, and you
Good
used to
Lord.
finish at 7 and 8 o'clock at night. Sometimes 9 o'clock on a Saturday.
Really? Hmm.
Yeah, that was for 9 shillings a week in those
Yes,
days.
as a message boy.
And a packet of toffees, a packet of boiled toffees. And you used to take telegrams out on your bike.
Did you?
I've gone to Grange de Linz to Gooders many a time when it's been dark.
Really? With a telegram?
Yeah?
Yeah.
And,
Wasn't Freddie Burkitt employed as a telegram boy?
that was Mansford's time.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Ah.
That's years
Ah,
before.
that was years before.
Yeah.
I understood he was employed as a telegram boy.
Aye, well, that was years before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Aye. Aye. What sort of holidays did you get then?
We used to get a week's holiday a year.
1 week a year?
That's right.
Hmm.
Didn't used to go away, did you?
Now, not when I was single, we didn't used
No.
to go away.
No.
No.
Well, I've got a photograph of you walking along the Skegness front.
That was Skegness when we'd get in,
Yes.
up to 20.
Yes.
It was, because
That'd be a day out, would it?
I went in the bakehouse
Yes.
when I was just over 14,
Did you?
when I'd been an errand boy at the shop, and I went in the bakehouse, learning bakery trade.
Hmm.
I did.
But
Now-
the day at Skegness, that would be a day trip, would it?
No, that was a week's holiday at
It was a
Skeggy.
week's holiday.
6 of us, we used to
Oh.
camp at Skeggy.
Did you?
You know where Hildred's, the
Yes.
pub used to be, and then
Yes.
there's a church on that corner.
That's right.
Well, there used to be a field at the back there.
Did
Well,
they?
I don't know it's houses now, I
It
think.
is, yeah.
Well, that's where we used to go for the week. We used to hire a tent from a party called Rowley's in Skegness.
Hmm.
And we used to camp right at the far corner of the field.
Good Lord. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did your father do for a living?
It was a wheelwright.
Oh, he was a wheelwright,
Yeah.
was he? Was he employed by the local people or did he have his own business?
No, he was working in Lincoln at one of the foundries.
Was he?
Then he was out to work there about 1917. And he was 19 shillings a week for 9 of us.
Oh.
And I used to go at about, 7:30 in the morning to Mrs Smith, where May East lives now.
Yes.
She used to have 2 cows in with that garages.
Yes.
It used to be black sheds there.
Yeah.
And I used to go clean them out and cut some Swedes up or mangles up, ready for her feeding, for milking.
Yeah.
Then I used to go after school. That was 6 days a week. an hour each day for 18 pence.
Oh.
I used to give my mum the money and she used to give you a penny and you'd think you'd got...
You've got something to be going on with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was 18 pence in the old money.
In 1 and 6.
1 and 6pence.
Yeah.
Yes. Taken
Yes,
today.
7.5 pence.
Yes.
What is today?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, aye.
And I suppose your mother would go out to work as well.
No, mum didn't go out to work.
Didn't she?
Oh no, there was 7 on us to look
Oh,
after.
goodness.
Aye.
Yeah.
You see, it was only one house at one time, and then Dad knocked it into well, it was only 2 houses, and then Dad
Yes.
knocked it into one, did
Did
you
he?
see?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Were there any sort of how were the medical facilities arranged in the village then?
Oh, Dr. Dean from Scotland.
Yes.
He used to be the one who used to come. He used to come in the horse and cart at one time,
Did he?
and then he eventually got a little old Singer car.
Hmm.
After
But even before his horse and cart, didn't he come on horseback?
he used to come on an old pony.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd understood that.
That's right.
And he used to have his surgery in the institute.
At the top of the institute.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've heard that before.
Aye, he was an Irishman.
Was he really?
If he told you to go to hospital, you could take your coffin with you. That's what they always used to say.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Aye.
his son became a doctor at Dunholm, didn't he?
All 4 of his lads came doctors.
Did they really?
Oh, I did. One at
Yeah.
Rugby, one at Collingham, one at Dunham.
Yes.
One off the way.
I'll forget where the other one was. Somewhere, it was out Newark side.
Was it?
2 of them was.
I
Two
went
of-
to the man at Dunholm. He was the when I
George,
lived at Welton.
that was George.
Yes, he was a short, stiff man.
That's right. He was
Yeah.
with the 4 Seasons. Isn't
That's
he?
right.
Aye.
That's right. Yes.
Oh, aye.
Yeah.
I once went there. He was, and I couldn't hardly talk.
Hmm.
And his wife, she used to come to the door because she used to employ these here foreign girls for
Did you?
service.
Yes.
And she shouted, George. He says, hello. He says, she says, give Norman something for this cold.
Yeah.
And it was a glass, about that. And within 2 or 3 hours,
You'd got it.
and I said to her the next time, when we used to go every other day,
Yeah.
I said to her the next time, by Joe, I says, we don't get that in a bottle when we come to the doctor. She said, oh no. Now,
When were you called up?
1938, wasn't it, eh?
Yeah.
Were you on the reserve?
On it for so long.
Oh,
And then, not 39, 40, I was in Canada.
were you? You were in the Royal Air Force?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I
And you
was a
went to
cook.
Canada in 39, 40?
I was cook in the RAF.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Oh, he's always done the cooking for you then, has he?
Oh, well, if I did, I didn't have it.
Yeah, I was out there until
I didn't know where
40,
it was.
halfway through 45.
Were you really?
Yeah.
In Canada all the time?
I didn't
Yes,
know where it was.
well,
No.
I did 3 weeks in Bermuda for reserve
Yes.
because they wanted to help. The lads had all got disease or something and we had to go while some more came out from England.
Hmm.
And then when I came back from Canada, I was in England about, I think, 2 months. And I was detailed for Ireland, for Iceland rather.
Iceland?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And we was up in Iceland 13 months. We should have only been there 11.
Hmm.
We came back with Sunderlands, 48 on a Sunderland.
Oh.
And we landed at North Scotland, well they weren't going to let us come in at Holness.
Hmm.
We'd got to go back to the Orkneys. But anyway, the squadron leader Dixon, who was on our kite, he asked the wireless man to apply if we could land further out at the sea.
Hmm.
And he landed about 10 or 12 mile out.
Did you really?
And he came back on the water and we kept saying, oh God, we're going under.
Yeah.
See these waves coming in.
Really?
Straight through.
Yeah.
And then when we got to Holness, we'd nearly 90 steps to go straight up.
Good Lord. Yeah.
Yeah, with your kit on your back.
Yes.
And you got up to the top there and you was about jiggered.
Yeah.
And when you got to the top, have anything to declare?
Yeah.
No,
I've a
sir.
lot to declare.
No, we didn't declare, so
No.
there was one little lad with us called Little. And he kept saying, have you anything to declare? He says, yes, sir. He says, what do you got? He says, I've got 2 bottles of whiskey and so many cigarettes. He says, you haven't. He says, I have, sir, they're in my kit bag. Why, he says, you haven't? And he kept saying he had, well, he says, tip them in that corner. This here squadron leader says, we don't want the damn things.
Yeah.
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 But he was determined to tell him that
But he didn't have any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I brought quite a few cigarettes and
Did you?
200 in a packet, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Then I come there and I was posted to Cranwell.
Posted to Cranwell?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I got to Cranwell on the 4th, December the 24th.
Really?
Because I was home here for quite a time.
Yes.
And they detailed you when you sent
Yes.
where you was posted to. And I got there and there was a SP at the guard room. There would have been an SP in Canada with us.
Really?
He says, what do you come here for today for? He says, there's nobody here. He says, well, that's what it says on the letter.
Yeah.
He says, you better go back home again. He says, well, January. I says, here's my kit bag. He says, oh, I can't take it. I says, you chuck it in your guard room. And he took the kit bag and I went out of the camp with him.
Yeah.
Hitchhiking home.
Yes.
I came home here, she'd gone to bed and Alice Cameron Frank Clark was across there.
Yes.
And I says, is the wife at home? Because I couldn't make her here.
Yeah.
She says, well, she was. So I got a handful of little stones and chucked at the window.
Good Lord.
This was 11 o'clock on at night.
Yes.
And she come down and she says, oh, she didn't know I was coming.
No.
And it was 3 o'clock in the morning while I emptied my kit bags, sorted them out, because I'd brought a doll in each one.
Had you really?
One for our gal and one for George's
Yes.
gal.
Yeah.
And I tell you, with a great heap of washing.
Did you ever see the horseshoes at Bairdsley then?
Pardon?
Did you ever see the horseshoes at Bairdsley when you were at Cranwell?
No,
Didn't you?
no,
Oh.
no.
My uncle and aunt used to have the big farm on the corner near the garage,
Aye.
near the school
I know what you
at
mean,
Bairdsley.
but I didn't take that particular notice.
And there's two sets of horseshoes.
Uh-huh.
I used to sit out there on a Sunday morning and tell the yarn for a tanner. I had a piece in with the Echo about it about a month ago.
Oh,
Yeah. Hmm. Were you married at Nettleham?
yes.
Married at Nettleham Church?
Nettleham Church, June the 6th.
That was
19,
it.
yeah. 1920, was it?
29.
29, was it?
29.
29, 28, 29, I don't know.
29. Yeah. Well, 20. No, you said this is your 52nd year, did you?
51st.
51st, so that would be 29.
It
Yeah.
was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a reception in the Institute.
I was going to say, did you receive in the institute?
Yeah, there was nearly 80 sat down.
Was there really?
Then at the dance there was about 130.
Really?
And Ron Bowes.
Yes.
And then I remember they said they was coming down here to follow us, dear.
Yes.
But we left our bag in the refreshment room, what used to be at the Institute.
Yes.
And we came down here and I said to her as we was coming down, I said, God, I said, I hope they haven't put a piece of wood in the keyhole.
Yes.
Anyway, when we got here, there was a damn great hell, about 2 foot by 3 foot,
Was there really?
pinned on the front door,
Door.
burners.
Yes, yeah.
We didn't know about that.
Yeah.
They'd pinned it on after we'd got in.
Had there really?
And the next
Yeah.
morning there was Harry Bowman and George Bowes and Teddy Warwick was
Yes.
going up to Scampton Camp.
Yes.
They'd started working up
Yes.
there then.
Yeah.
And I said, Harry Bowman said, that was, what it is, Nancy, it was your relation, wasn't it? He says, they're no bloody learners. I said to Ada, I said, I'll go down and see what's up. And there's this great hell on the back door. And they tried to get in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had they? Yeah.
But they
But
couldn't
they
get
couldn't
in.
get in.
No.
No.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know you played football for a long time for Nettleham.
I played football for quite a time while I started to be on the van.
Yes.
That was when I left Larders and went to Blaze Allets
Oh, did you?
at Lincoln.
Oh, I didn't realise you'd left
On
Larders
night
at one
work.
time.
And then I had to pack it up because I got what they call the flower.
Really?
on your lungs.
Did you?
And I was footballing, and then of course Mr Spice, he left driving the van what they used to deliver with, and Morris used to go with him, Morris Smith. And I went to Larders to see if I could take the van on.
Yeah.
He said, well, he said, I'll give you a month's trial.
Hmm.
And of course I went to take the van on for driving. I forget how much, we didn't get a big lot of money on, about 42 shillings a week.
Aye.
And I took it on, and when I did it the month, he says, now, he says, you're all right, Norman. He says, I'm going to give you commission on all your sales of cakes, but not bread.
Really?
And I used to get about £1 a month commission.
Commission.
Sixpence in the pound.
Really?
Of course, I mean, you thought if you took £13
Well,
in those
that's right.
days,
You thought you were well off.
and £18 on a Saturday, it was a good day, do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah.
And that's how I started driving on for Larders.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But apart from Blaze Allets then, you worked for Larders all the time?
That's
the
right.
Larders were there?
Larders from Lard and then to the stores.
Yes, and then to the stores.
Yeah.
And you finished with the stores?
I left the stores 16 years before, I was about 48 when I left the stores.
Mm-hmm.
And I left for 6 months. I went up to the party what used to have the one
Didn't
against the brown
you only
cow.
five?
Wonderloaf.
Wonderloaf, yes.
Oh, and there was such, well, I mustn't say it.
You can say what you
There
like.
were such big twisters
Really?
that I'd gone out on one Saturday with 9 shillings worth of cakes, what you could sell to anybody, like,
Yes.
you know, there was about a penny a piece, and they
Yes.
should have been threepence. And I take these out, and when I came back again, and goes to check in, I forget the name of the manager. Eileen Tarpley used to be the secretary.
Yes, I remember that name.
And I tell you, I went upstairs, and again on my papers, like, for
Yes.
checking in. It says, you're 10 shillings short. I says, oh. He says, you are. So I says, look. So I looked at my going out paper.
Yes.
I says, that's wrong. So I goes downstairs to Charlie Watson, who used to be in the warehouse below. I says, where's your delivery book, Charlie? He says, it's there. I says, where's my list? And there used to be one for the office, and one for me,
Yes.
and then there used to be the duplicate, what they used to leave in
Yes.
the book.
Yes.
Of course, I found it and slipped the office one out.
Yeah.
Oh, he says, don't tear it out. I says, I'm taking this upstairs now. I says, took it upstairs and gave him to this man, like a
Yeah.
man. I says, who's altered that to 19? What was 9?
Yeah.
Oh, nobody. I says, there's some damn big liars here. I says, get it sorted out. I says, and I leave next week.
Really?
Yeah, and I left the next Friday.
Did you really?
And I went to work for Keith Kerrison. Do you remember him down there on the
I
farm?
remember Keith at the farm, yes.
I worked for him for 6 weeks
Did you?
on the farm,
Yes.
because you had to wait 6 weeks before you got any money.
Before
didn't
you got no money.
Well, I went and worked for Keith on the tractor and on the land and on diking, and that for 6 weeks,
Hmm.
so that I went out of pocket.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's how then I got back to driving for Larders.
Did you? You went back to Larders again
Yeah.
then? Hmm.
Well,
How long did you...
I applied for 3 jobs. There was one for the ambulance,
Yeah.
and one for Scampton Camp, and one for the co-op.
Hmm.
And the co-op, I sent it off on the Friday, and the co-op was back here on the Saturday morning to go for an interview on the Monday. And Harry Foster, I don't know whether you remember him,
No.
I went, and he was in the office where you got the interview, and this man Sharp, who I'd had a row with, I says, can I see you on your own, Mr. Foster? He says, it's all right. I says, who's going to be the boss?
Hmm.
He says, I am. Because I said, I don't want to be victimised by him.
Yeah.
That was Sharp,
Yes.
you see.
Yeah.
And there was, well, I think there was 13 left the stores all through this year, man.
Was there really?
Sharp.
Yeah.
And this Harry Foster says, you going to Nettleham, Norman? Oh no, I said, I don't want to go and push the drivers out from there. I says, I'll go anywhere. But I said, he says, you're going to Nettleham. He says, start at Nettleham on Tuesday morning. And I went to Nettleham on the Tuesday morning to start, and I went back on the same van.
Did you?
And they was only doing about half the calls of what I had been doing.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. These 2 chaps, what
Yes.
what was on my
Yeah.
van.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it appears there was so much money missing
Oh, really?
on this here round,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much tobacco money, because we used to draw tobacco money, drapery money, and your own money like for bread
Did
and
you?
cakes.
Yeah.
And there was
Aye.
so much missing, so.
Oh.
And that's how I started back on the carpet. And then I tell you the stores took over.
Yes.
50 some odd, wasn't it?
47.
But, was I 47 the stores
47,
stopped, that's
yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah. Well, when did you finally finish with the co-op to retire?
When I was a day before I was 65.
Did you? Ah, they released
I
you
said
when you
to-
were 65.
I said to Steve Foster, the manager of the transport, because they moved me from Nettleham, you know, they
Yes,
took
I
all
remember
the
that.
vans up.
Yes.
And I did 2 years down there,
Did you?
on the hearse and on the cars.
That's right.
And
yes.
I was down there, I tell you, and they said, Steve Foster, I went in the office for an interview. He says, you let her leave, he said, a day before you're 65, Norman. I said, why? He says, well, he says, we shall have a week's pay to pay you if you stop a day longer.
Oh, really?
I said, I could do with another 2 years here, Mr. Foster.
Yeah.
He says, but he said, I'm not allowed to set you on.
No.
And I had to pack it up. you
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
And I tell them, when I first went down there, like, for the last 2 years, I says, it's the ruination of the soul.
Yeah.
You're walking about the garage, there was 5 of us.
Didn't know what to do.
No, not well about 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, then they used to take that van or lorry or whatever it was, that could drive a 3 ton.
Yes.
Because I'd sent me heavy goods back to to Nottingham.
Yeah.
And they used to come and say, take that to Grantham and take it to Gainsborough.
Really?
And bring the reserve one back again. Yeah.
And that was your day's work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I used to get a bucket of water and go washing the windscreens.
Really?
For something to do.
Yeah.
When I wasn't on the cars. Because you weren't on the cars every day.
No.
Yeah.
When you retired, then you started to do work with Bob Parker a bit, didn't you?
I retired and I was helping Bob with
Undertaking. Yes.
And then of course Bob died and that was it. And I used to go down to it wasn't the RSNC then.
No.
I used to go down there for 3 days a week.
You did, I remember that.
In the warehouse.
Yes.
Receiving the goods.
Yes, that's right.
Then of course my eyesight went. And
Aye.
I just went in the warehouse helping them out then,
Yes.
you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aye. Oh, you've had a few changes then, over the years.
I just steady. Well, more so after I'd done 65 and I was 65 than what I did before.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are the big changes you've seen in Nettleham?
Oh, my Lord.
Aye. That'll make me think.
Big changes. All the houses disappearing, the little old houses.
That's right.
Yeah. Across there used to be 3.
Yes.
You remember?
I do.
Then Nicky Dick's at the corner and there used to be 8 or 9 little old
That's right.
cottages. Then at the back of this here, one here, where the clinic is now, there used to be a row of 3.
We did.
What,
Yeah.
they've all been knocked down.
That's right.
Aye.
They're all the centre of the village has changed, doesn't it?
What?
They
Terrible.
too, weren't they? Ranchos and
Oh,
Mustangs.
you're talking about down East End,
Yeah.
Yeah.
where old Russ Rancho
Oh,
is.
where old Russell lived, round the
Yeah.
back there.
Yeah.
Well, they've all gone as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I mean, all these fields were on the outskirts of the village. There used to be fields for the horses grazing,
Yes.
didn't there?
Yes.
Mill Hill and all up there.
That's right. I found a photograph the other week of Scothan Hill before the council houses were in the Dean with a big
Oh, yes.
field on the corner.
That 11 acre
Yes.
on the corner there.
Yeah.
Charlie Trott's was the first one to be built up there.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, he was the first on the hill
Then
then.
there
Yes,
was the
it was.
council houses.
The
started.
29 the council houses were built.
I don't know.
Same year as you got married.
Aye. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, aye.
I looked it up a little while ago about the council houses.
Yeah.
When they were, Dixon and Hobbs were trying to get the house in this side that
That's
they've now
right.
done. I looked up when the council houses were built.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Aye.
29.
Aye.
Mm.
Oh, there's been some big changes.
No doubt about that.
There is.
The when you look at the Beck and think what a difference it is now.
Well, look at the back. I mean, at Larders there, it used to be no bridge, no nothing.
That's right.
And in the winter time, it used to flood the cellar as deep as that there.
Did it really?
We used to have to empty the cellar at the beginning of December
Aye.
because
Did
of the
it?
water coming in.
Flooding from the Beck.
It used to be as deep as that there.
Did it?
About 2 foot to 2 foot 6
Mm.
deep. Yeah.
But even right down the high street past the church, I mean, it was 6 foot high in rubbish, wasn't it? When you think about the amount of stuff that was in front of Mrs Warwick's and
Aye.
places like that,
Yeah.
Awful.
it was a terrible state, wasn't it?
Aye.
And yet earlier, you see, I've done quite a study of the parish council minutes from about 1894 onwards, and they used to pay for the beck to be cleaned out then.
Yeah.
But every year they used to pay for it to be cleaned out. Then that fell away.
They, I thought they still carry. I thought Flintham's was the last one to clean things.
Oh, that was much later.
Aye.
But before then, they used to pay because Jimmy Sawyer's father used to. He was one of the beck cleaners.
That's right. Yeah.
It was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, with his awesome car. Yeah.
They used to lead it up to the lotments, up the top.
That's
one.
right.
They used to leave the old dilly cart up
That's
there.
that's
Hold
right.
on. Do you remember Hold on to having the dilly cart?
I do.
Used to live in
Yeah.
those houses at the back of the White Hart.
Right back of the White Hart.
Yeah.
That's right.
Eh?
Yeah.
Then Kerrison.
Kerrison was
Hard
another
work.
one with
He
it.
used to have it, and there used to be a lot go in the back at that time in the winter time.
Yes.
They did.
They did.
They did.
Oh, they
That's
did.
our lane.
Yes.
Float in the back.
Oh, I mean, Bob Vickers, he had to shoot straight out into the beck for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
That's
would never admit that it was his, but
Yeah.
it was, comes out where Mrs Ayres' house is now. That
Yeah,
used to be
that's
straight
right.
out into
Aye.
the beck. And no doubt about that.
Yeah.
An overflow from the sewerage system.
Yeah.
Because we didn't go on main sewerage until the early 50s.
I don't know when it was.
It was
but
the early 50s.
I know that I was on my bike, and I forget where I was in town somewhere, and I was riding round, and I was watching them do that there telephone at the bottom of Linda Mill, just on the front of the beginning of Monk's Road, against the Sessions House there.
Yes.
And it was open and about 10 foot deep and about a yard wide, be about 4 yards long. And an old man came along on 2 sticks, and I was looking at all these buttons.
Aye.
And he touched me, I says, hello. He says, one day, he says, we should just go up like that, he says. Electric.
Did he really?
He says, now
Yes.
I'll tell you another thing. He says, when they start and dig the road and earth below 12 foot, he says, you'll get diseases wherever it's dug up. And when they had the sewerage here at Nettleham,
Yeah.
where they went below 10 and 12 foot, do you remember we had polio with about 30 people?
We certainly had some polio.
Well, that was the
Yes.
same. That was the same time.
Really?
And I thought about this old
Yes.
man saying it.
Yeah. Forecasting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eh?
Aye.
Yeah.
You've never had a car of your own, though, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you did have a car, did you?
No, I've had,
Oh, I
I
couldn't
had
remember
3.
that. You had 3, did you?
I had a crash at a place called Gosberton.
Aye.
We was going to Pinchbeck. We was only about a mile away from where we wanted to be. It was Gosberton Cross Road, just against the Bell Pub House. And there was 2 cars came to go up to Donington, and they both got the winkers out to go up. And of course I started to go across the road, and this second one, a Jag,
It come
he
first.
come and hit us straight.
Did you really?
That was a ride. Took and fetched it from the Bell at Gosberton.
Did you really?
And then I had what they call that? I can't remember the name of the car. It was a German car. And then I swapped it with Tuplin for the Morris 18.
Did you?
And
You know, I can't remember you having a
and
car at
they
all.
stopped me driving after I'd had my eyes done,
Aye.
because I couldn't see very well.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting. I've another 2 years to wait for this one. Well,
Have you?
I tell him I should be dead before then.
No, not likely.
And Pauline had the car for about 3 or 4 years after I finished with it.
Yeah, it was in there.
Oh, was it?
That
Yeah.
Morris, it was 18. Morris
Was
18.
it? I
18.
can't remember that at all, but I have such a
A
poor memory
creamy
now.
coloured car, and it all rusted all at once.
Did it?
And then
Yeah.
she got a little Mini,
Yes.
and then Jonathan, he got this here Volkswagen from
Yes.
Brian, and of course it wasn't good enough for him after he'd had it a year. He went and wanted to this here big Montego what he's got,
Yes.
and they offered him £1,000 for it. Well, I'm getting £2,000 for
Right.
it from Brian.
Yeah.
So Brian, I went to see Brian, and he says, have it. So of course I paid the money out for
Yeah.
the car for Pauline to have it,
Yes.
this Volvo,
Yeah.
Volkswagen rather,
Volkswagen.
and she's still got it.
Oh, she has, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eh?
What do you enjoy watching on television?
Sport.
Oh, I realise that, but what about a few other things? Nothing else?
Everything.
I can't hear them clear enough.
Can't you?
No.
Ah,
Nobody can see 'em.
I sell a black on them.
yes.
But as regards anything, not any of these plays and
But you're not a very good Coronation Street man.
I don't have it on. It's
No.
always the same to me. No,
Oh,
no, it's sport. Well, there's sport on. That's all.
yes.
Black and white, and it's into coloured, and because of coloured, and it's all like that to me.
Is it really?
Uh,
You can't see it.
Well, you can't see it, so
No,
we have to have
no,
that.
that's fair enough. Yeah,
They don't
Yeah.
like doing it, but they come and do it, don't they?
yeah.
oh, he was here about a fortnight
Yeah.
ago.
They'll try to sell you a coloured one.
Yes,
They
but
wanted,
it
oh, they're
won't.
always
No.
on about a coloured
Yeah.
one, and he
Yeah.
says we're having to strip old sets, black and white, and
Find
it's
a
'cause
few spares.
we're not buying them now.
No,
He says this is one of the last ones. He says this is 19-year-old,
really. Yeah,
and they've been to it about 4 times.
yeah.
It came, I tell you, about a fortnight ago and put an output valve in it,
Mm.
because all we could get was a white line across.
Mm.
Just put this valve in, he says, there you are.
Yeah.
Off he went.
What can you remember about the anniversaries from the chapel?
We used to open that window on a Sunday, because that's on a secondary double glazing.
Yes,
But we used to open the window on a Sunday, and we could hear them singing
yes,
in there,
yes.
and especially when the people used to be stood out there because it was too full, they couldn't get in.
Really?
Yeah. My old granddad and old Farrow was the chief men of the chapel in
Were
them
they?
days.
Aye.
Then there was a bloke called Charlie Smith, but my granddad and old Farrow was the two.
Leading light?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Mm.
And
And what about the annual anniversary? What did they
Oh,
who-
they had it on there.
oh, they used to have a black hut across there. You know.
I know the Black Oak.
Well, we used to.
I'm thinking about the wagons or
We used to
something.
go for a cart ride
Aye, well, no, that's what I'm on
round
about.
Bigosy Lane
Did you?
to Gooders Farm,
Yes.
and they used to give us a chocolate bar, you know, empty chocolate
Did they?
bar, and by God, we thought we'd got a lot.
Yes.
Then we used to come back to Nettleham Hall, and back to Nettleham and have our tea across there.
Did you?
And then when you'd had your tea, they used to go in that field where the Bossie is now.
Yes.
That used to be the horse field.
Yes.
And they used to be chucking toughies up in the air and
Really?
racing for 3 toughies.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. That was once a year treat, was it?
Yeah, that's
That
right.
was once a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aye.
Mm.
We used to learn pieces, you know, and sell it to recite the
Yes.
different.
In the chapel.
That's right.
You went to this chapel as
Yeah.
a young man, did you?
Yeah,
As a
well,
young boy?
I went there when I was 10. They couldn't get me to go.
Oh.
And my Aunt Maud from up street, she gave me a book of Livingstone in Africa.
Really?
She says, I'll give you that if you'll go to chapel. I
Yes.
went there for about 15 months. Now I'm not going to move.
Yeah. And did Roland go with you, your brother?
They used to go to chapel.
Did they?
Aye.
Yeah.
George didn't. He was church.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
That was my eldest brother.
But did you ever feature in the choir or anything like that?
No, I didn't
No.
go in the choir.
Oh.
No.
Yeah.
The only time I stood in where the choir was when we was reciting these poems.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about pig clubs? Did you ever belong to the pig club?
We had one.
We used to have a pig,
I
but they
thought
want
you
a
might
pig.
have
They
done.
want a pig club when I had a pig.
Wasn't they?
No.
Oh.
I
We
used
had
to keep
one.
it up at my brother's, up
Did
at
you?
my dad's.
Aye.
They had 2 pigsties, you know, down there.
They did, that's right. At
And
the bottom, I
I
remember
used
that.
to keep 2 up there,
Did you?
and we used to sell one and put the other one in the house.
Yes.
But it got so it was too dear, and they used to go to a place called Bilston. One pig did, what
Really?
was sold.
Aye.
And one year they sent us back. They'd only given us about half the price. They'd got them mixed up.
Really?
So I said, oh, well, that's finished us then.
Aye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to kill a pig when it was about 27 stone.
Aye. Yeah.
Right?
Who was the butcher then?
Bloke called Hornsby.
Was he?
Billy Hornsby's dad used to live where Dickinson lives now. Not Dickinson, Bratley.
Brackley.
Next door to the pub back, this side pub house, where, what do you call it, Smith,
Vernon Smith lives.
yeah,
Yes.
this side, then there's,
Yes.
Mrs Jeffrey lives in one,
Yes.
and Hornsby used to live in the other.
Did he?
And then
Did
Freebury,
he have the butcher shop?
no,
Ah.
and a old bloke called Freebury used to kill them before Hornsby.
Did he? And he came to your house, did he?
He used to come, no, he killed it in Scarborough's killed
Oh,
ours.
he killed it. Aye, I see.
Harold Scarborough, because
Yes.
he could walk it straight down the garden path,
Yes.
down the edge
Oh, of
there,
course.
and to where
Yes.
it wanted to be.
Yes.
And Harold used to kill ours,
Aye.
but Ormsby was the official one
Was it?
who used to go out in the village.
Yes,
killing
round the
things.
houses.
Then Herbert Kerrison, he took it on.
Oh, he
killing-
did, didn't he? I remember that,
killing
because he
things.
worked at the abattoir,
He
didn't
was
he?
at the abattoir.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah. Aye,
Can I just put in there a
you
minute?
can. You're about on time.
This flashing because
It's been most interesting talking to you. We spent more time with you. We really ought to have.
Come.
No, we're talking to you a little bit.
No, I didn't want you to touch me.
Oh, well, it's been most interesting. I
That's
hope you've
very
enjoyed
nice.
it. And we will make sure you can see this tape.
Uh-huh.
We're going to put a public showing on so that people who have been featured in the films can see them. You see.
They'll have a laugh, won't they?
The will at yours.
Well, we got you at the Four Seasons, but you're on that tape.
Aye.
Remember we were there?
Oh, that's right, I
when
remember.
the sun was there.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's been very nice talking to you. Thank you very much.
That's all right, yeah.
Thank you very much.
I shall send my bill in at the end of the season.
Well done.